Well, we'll just leave this for right now as is. So basically, whenever I go to create a new crack, it'll just put it at the 0, 0 spot. At least we'll be able to see if this just even works. Create a new level, create a new level, create a crack. Alright, so all I want to test out is that when I create a new crack, debris and stuff falls and that it bounces on the floor over here. So let's see. Now I can actually go into my, well, okay. First off, let's just we'll load up a template for the level again. So this is a custom level editor that I wrote inside of Unity. And what I want to do is go into my artwork, debris, and we'll just drag this guy out here. So here we're going to have this one little piece of debris, right? And we'll name it debris. And what I want to do is I'm going to add a rigid body, 2D to it. I'm going to give it a gravity scale of 60, 0. It's going to be a fixed angle. And then the next thing that I want to do is give it a box collider, 2D. That should be correct. And then in here I have a material for a bounce. And so now if I run this, this guy will fall. Whoops, I didn't see that. He will fall, boom, and bounce. I can actually make this like 100. I don't like the way he's not falling fast enough. Let's change his mass to about 5. Maybe that'll help him speed up a little bit more. Okay, so I now have this debris. The next thing I wanted to add was a fade script. And we'll set this to auto start. The delay will give it as 2 seconds and the speed factor of 0.5. So now he should fall, bounce, and fade away. I felt like that was like really hokey. What happened there? Like he didn't really fade very well, right? Speed factor of 1. Wow. Is this script just like busted? And I didn't see any errors. Should slowly fade away, not just like blank out. Alright. I'll have to look into that. What else is new? Alright, so let's I thought I'd change this to debris. Okay, cool. So now at this point I have the debris. I can create a prefab of him and put him in my effects folder. And now in the crack, when I look up the crack script, basically what we will do here is public int total debris. Let's do like 20. Public game object debris prefab, and this is an on trigger. What I want to set up here is void start. So when this starts, what we want to do is for, can't type a for loop, var I equals 0, I less than total debris, I plus plus, and I'm going to use my custom game object utility to instantiate debris prefab. And what I want to do is sort of get a range here. So right now, we're just going to hard code this. Var position equals transform position. And what we can do is create a new position equals position, and we will do new position x equals math. Oops, sorry, I want to do random range, and we'll do negative 50 to 50. So later on, to do need to get full size from collider. So later on I'll fix this where it'll actually just like expand within the right area. But now we can just set this to this new position. So if we run this game, I'll zoom out of here. And if I go to my level manager and I create a crack, it's going to throw a whole bunch of stuff. Right, the variable debris crack has not been assigned. So, of course, the one thing that I didn't do is I didn't set up a prefab for this, which reminds me, it's a very good point to always make sure that we're testing if things are null. This is null, we'll do our guard clause, and we'll just exit out. Alright, so right now I need to go and find the crack prefab, and I need to drag the debris prefab into it. Right here, we're going to create 20, we're going to hit play, and now if I go back to my level manager, let's clear this guy out. Oops. We don't need to see these anymore. Clear, we don't need this guy anymore either, so we'll delete him. We'll go to the level manager, we will create a new level, and we'll create a crack, and a whole bunch of crap just like fell out. Let's create another crack. It's not very like awesome, is it? So some of the things that we can do here is we can actually change the velocity of these things. Or if I was smarter, I would actually just reuse another script that I have here. So this debris, I'm going to fade away component initial or instant velocity. I want to change this instant. I want to do this with instant velocity, but the problem is that move component. It won't be random enough. So instead we'll just do this by hand. Var, we're going to want to get a copy of the body equals instance get component rigid body 2D. We'll call this body 2D. And now for body 2D, we can change the velocity to equal a new vector 2, and we can keep the x as is, but we might want to just do some sort of range between -20 and 20 or something like that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to change its, actually, you know what, I don't want to do this. I want to do this in the x. So that'll change its left and right, and then the y velocity will sort of be the same. Let's just see what happens here with that. I want these to sort of like shut out in each direction. So create a new level, create a crack. That seems to have done jack shit, huh? Well, we can just keep tweaking around with this stuff. Sometimes when things aren't working how I'm expecting to, I like to add like really large numbers and see if that has sort of like any impact. Run this again. Create our new level and create our crack. So you're seeing they're starting to spread out a little bit more. One thing that's actually happening, and I just sort of realized this, is that the debris is colliding with each other. So one quick way I can fix this is by setting them to, I have a custom layer here called ignore collision. So now I bet if I run this again, they'll stop bunching up as badly as they were before. Create a new level, create a crack. There we go. Much better. I mean, it still sort of looks like crap, but here's the trick. Now that they're ignoring level, and now that they're ignoring all collision, they don't collide with the floor. So this just looks like it's going to be one of these things where maybe if I set them to projectile, whoops, not the level manager, I want to set the debris to projectile. And let me go back in here and look in my project settings for the physics 2D and just make sure that projectiles don't collide with other enemies or other projectiles, but they will collide with a player. So that's going to be a problem as well. So I think the only solution I have is to actually just make a new layer. And we'll make a specific layer for debris. Or debris. I don't know why I keep saying the S. It's so tempting. Debris. Alright, now I'll go back in here. We'll change this to debris. And then I'm going to go back into my project settings for physics 2D. And in debris, we basically don't want it to collide with out of bounds. Well, we can make it collide with out of bounds. Ignore collision. We don't want to collide with other projectiles or enemies or players. We want it to collide with anything that's solid, which will be the ground. And all this other stuff we'll just leave as is. So now if we rerun this, what should happen is we create our level, we create our crack, and now they act a little bit better. So the next thing I wanted to try was giving them a little bit of a push out so they all don't fall at the same exact time. So in this case, we'll do 50 to 100. I'm going to increase this velocity a little bit. We'll do 100 to 200. And let's rerun this again. I mean, a lot of this is just going to be me tweaking and trying to get this stuff right. I'm trying to get this at least to a base level where I'm happy that these things get spawned out, that they work, and then later on, I think that next week is the week I'm going to go back through and I'm just going to focus clearly on level design, building out all the levels I need, cleaning up all the artwork, cleaning up all these little effects. So let's create a crack. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. And that looks way, way better. In fact, we can probably do some pretty cool stuff with this crack and do something like 40 of these pebbles. I mean, it was a huge chunk of the floor is missing, right? So we want to kind of give it that effect. And one of the big reasons why I moved this over to Unity for Zacian 5 is that I should be able to easily create all these effects and not have to really worry about the performance. Because if I look here and I create this crack, we're only doing 3 or 4 draw calls. We barely added anything into this. So I think the next thing is just, I want to give this stuff a little bit more of a range. So why don't we do 0, which is just the default of having it fall, and we'll do like 400. I think this range from moving right to left is not bad. Let's just add a little bit more to it and rerun it. So create next level, create the crack, boom. So that's giving it this like really nice sort of little effect of the floor exploding. What I'd love to do is, whoops, I don't want to create the crack yet. I want to move this floor, I want to create this crack. I just want to see where this position should be. Let's just say like 650. Just like in an ideal situation. This way, I wanted to take a quick little GIF of this and put it to my Twitter so that other people could see what they're missing if they're not watching the stream. Where did I put this? This is the level manager. Where was that? Here, I'll just do this. Else, we'll do a new position. X equals 650. So now when I test it, run this guy again. Level manager, create the crack. And here's another reason why I wanted to test this out. I'm clearly not taking into account the parent position of this crack. So the most important thing that I'm going to need to do here is change this new position and simply make this plus. So what will happen now is that this will actually add to the position of wherever the crack goes. So that was a good noob mistake for not paying attention. So create new level, create the crack, boom. Now we got this stuff. And in all honesty, I want to make this like really epic. So let's do like 80 pieces of debris and see what happens. Manager, create new level, boom. I mean, it looks really retarded because it's just disappearing instead of fading away like it's supposed to. There's something that I did here that is just completely wrong. But for all intents and purposes, I think creating a new level, I can now open up, so if you're on if you're on Windows, I don't know why I forgot the name of this. There's a really great thing called it's a GIF cam, and this is basically what I use to help me sort of capture animated GIFs. And I've been really lazy since I've been like live streaming now. I've been pretty lazy about posting this stuff back to my Twitter account. So what I wanted to do is I'll record this and create the crack and then stop it. And now I can have like a little preview. See how this turned out. Creates the crack. Sure, that looks good enough. Why not? And we'll save this to a temp folder. And this is Super Paper Monster Smasher Crack Particle Test 1. And now I can just throw this up on Twitter real quick. So I don't know if anyone in the chat has any questions or comments about the effect that they want to ask, but feel free to put some stuff in the chat, and I was just going to do a real quick tweet. So, alright, I think the last thing that I wanted to do is just get this crack, this debris working as part of the object pool. So, do I have thought I had a folder here for projectiles. Physics, arrow, crack, we'll just put it here. Create new script, debris, and so in order to add this to the object pool, reload all that I have to do is extend my recycle game object class, and I want to basically keep track of the only thing I'll have to do is whenever it gets recycled, I'm going to have to reset the fadeaway script. So in this case, I'm going to need a reference to that. So fade away. Copy this, put this here, and do get component fade away. And then my recycle script simply has two things. The most important one is going to be is restart and shut down. In this case, I just want restart. And if fade script does not equal null, then we'll do fade script restart. Bingo. So now I should be able to add this debris script to my prefab. Effects, debris, debris. And now, most of my code is pretty intelligent to go through and understand that it looks for anything that has a recycle class attached to it. And since debris automatically extends from recycle, what's going to wind up happening is that it's going to go straight to the object pool. And to kind of illustrate how this will work, when I create a new level, you'll see even the new levels themselves are object pooled. So this is the level that was created, and it gets put into its own object pool. When I create the crack, all the debris are going to show up here. Now, all of them have been disabled. I don't know what just happened there, so we'll test it again. We'll do another crack, and they'll all go away again. So I think what's happening now is the render order or the layer order is just really low. So we'll set this to something like 50 and rerun it. And you'll see here, when I create this new level, I create this crack, all these will come here. They're now fading away. I guess the fade away had something weird to do with my recycle script. That's weird. I'll have to look I'll have to look into that. OneNote. Pin this over here. Just another bug in the game. Fade script doesn't work if object is not recycled. Okay, so I'll have to look that up later. So basically, I can't save while it's running. So now, whenever I create a crack, you'll see that, go to the debris here, I actually don't ever create another instance of it. So now all this stuff has already been created, and it's already pooling. Now, of course, a whole bunch more is called because I did this twice. But here it's smart enough to just go through into the object pool and try to find the ones that are not being used. So the final sanity test, and this will probably be the last thing I do for the evening, is going through and making sure that this works actually in the game. So let's go to the scene with the game. Boot this guy up. Null reference. Why does this hate me? Not set to an instance of an object. Sure, that's fine, but you should have found it. Go does not equal null. That's funny, this worked fine before. Follow script equals, I guess because I'm not testing right now, I'll just put this back the way that it was before. Whatever. Alright, so let's kill some guys. And now the full effect that we'll have is the floor shakes and everything craps out. Oh no. Not good. Wonder what that was all about. Oh, and now Unity is dead. Interesting. Alright, here we go. Missing reference to player manager has been destroyed. Ah, that's funny. What happened was, that was awesome. What happened was is that there are these things right here, which are called out of bounds. And if the player, by some odd chance, hits one of these, they basically get destroyed. So as I moved down to the next level, it couldn't find the player anymore. So I still haven't added the borders to keep the guy from going off screen. So, that was annoying. So, well, I'll just rerun this, and I'll just be sure not to go too far off. What I was interested about is what was actually pushing him off of the area. I don't know I gotta get rid of some of this crap here. Where's my rage? I can close this out so I don't have to see this stuff. Alright. Oh, and of course I wasn't paying attention, but it looked like everything worked. So, we'll do this again. I'll just kill some people. I'll make sure to get far away from the edges. Because what I don't want to do... Let's see here. Alright, that sort of worked. I think the thing that I want to do with that debris is make some of it randomly... I'd like to get it so that some of that stuff actually just randomly fades away before it hits the ground, so they don't all fall away at the same time. Alright, well, that sort of works. I think it's a good place for me to stop. Maybe the last thing I'll do on this debris is in this fade script. Let me change this so that delay equals random range, whoops, random range. We'll do 1 second to 3 seconds. So now when we rerun this, and actually I don't even have to wait for the player to do this. I can just go into the game manager and trigger the next level. Some of that stuff will disappear before the other stuff does. But what's really interesting is that the debris is pushing the player around. So somewhere in my physics I messed this up. Debris out of bounds, true. Player. What I want to make sure is that the player doesn't hit the debris and that doesn't hit the debris. Alright, that's really baffling. Let me make sure that the debris is set to the right layer. You're set to debris, so you shouldn't be affecting anyone. Wonder what happens if I set debris to ignore all collisions and tell the game manager now to trigger the next level. Alright, that works. But if I go back to my debris here and I make this debris and trigger the next level, oh right, all that stuff was object pooled, so it's not gonna reset itself. So it got it created with all the layer saying that it was ignore. Oops. Sure. Trigger next level. I think the one thing that needs to happen on this crack is that I actually start this before it destroys any collision, any solid collision layers below it. So what I'll need to do is this is actually going to have some sort of delay. So this will probably be the last thing that I do here. Public float delay. So we just want to delay it for like half a second. Private time. Well, actually, this would be private float. Start time equals 0. So when this thing loads up, all we'll do is we'll just create a timestamp here for time, and we'll do an update. So void update to and we're going to make sure that if time.time equals time.time minus start time is greater than delay, we'll do this. And the last thing we want to make sure is that first run equals true. We don't want it to keep doing this. We now want to make sure that this only happens once. So I'll use first run a lot just to kind of as a flag to make sure that we only run this at one time. So now, let's rerun this. I'm on my game manager. I'm going to trigger the next level. Whoa, that was so weird. What is my player's lair? This player. Why did it push all that shit away? Let's see if we increase this delay here a little bit more. Actually, well, at this point now I can just do this through code. This is going to be in the crack itself. Let's make this 0. This is a trigger, so that shouldn't be affecting it. The delay, let me do this as just 2 seconds. See what happens if the player just falls down. I just want to see this stuff collides with the player when it goes down. Game manager. Yeah, it's like the bounce itself moves the player, but that shouldn't collide at all. Fun times. 0.5. Also, for some weird reason, I don't know why this is set to the player. This crack shouldn't have any effect, but let's see if we can fix that for a minute. Game manager, trigger next level. I don't like this at all. This gets to go into the bug list. Debris is making player bounce, even though it's on a different collision layer. So strange. Alright, well, sometimes these are the kind of bugs that actually just fix themselves out pretty easily in the morning because I wasn't paying attention to something. I want the box collider. I need this gravity scale. Maybe if I set this back to 0, fixed angle, everything, nothing makes sense. Wow. That is just so weird. What am I missing here? Physics 2D. Let's just get rid of everything. So, let's see. This should now not collide with anything. Game manager. Trigger the next level. Boom. Everything looks good here. I lost my bounce. Let me go back to, pause this game. Let me go back to the physics 2D. Let's change this back to solid. Go to my game manager and trigger the next level. Alright, that, strangely enough, trigger next level, seems to fix it. So, what was the player? Ah ha ha. The reason was that I actually have another collider that's nested inside of this monster here. And because it's set to default, it was triggering the collision. So that means that I need to go into my entities, go into my monster, go into my attack thing, and make this player. and make sure that everything is on the right collision layer. I have now fixed this, and if I rerun this now, always feels so good to get a bug over with right before I call it a night. I should be able to trigger the next level. My debris falls down. It's not bouncing for some reason. That's probably because I need to just simply tweak this while I'm not in runtime. That's right. So solid is the only thing that it'll collide with. Actually, the other thing I want to do with the game manager is I want to fix this delay. No, that was in the crack. We'll make this delay like 0.2. I just want like a little bit. I want the player to start moving through the floor as everything starts exploding, so that you sort of get the full effect. Game manager. Trigger the next level.